Shamawd Chambers has an extremely bright future. Starting just his second year, he's already one of the best receivers in the CIS with pro potential. But what fuels him presently on the field is the off-field pain from his past. Shamawd Chambers' older brother Jonathan was kidnapped and killed by gang-affiliated men in an execution-style murder. From mentoring underprivileged youth to transforming himself as a student and by living every day like it's his last, the man known as Blinkus Jr. has been a shining example on how in times of darkness, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. The hardest thing I've ever done, having this conversation with him.
Shamawd, what was it like for you coming up, in this family with you and your brother as a child?
Well, we grew up right outside Toronto, actually in Scarborough, Malvern, and at that point it wasn't really a great area to raise children. Sometimes you'd hear gunshots going off during the night and stuff like that. It's a scary place, but when you're young, you don't really see those many things. You just remember them now and you're just like, oh, that's what that sound was? We were very happy children and stuff like that, and we grew up with my dad and my mom both being there and stuff like that, so we didn't really have a problem with like gang-related things and drugs and stuff like that. We were way too young at that point.
Well, growing up, I had two boys that were totally different. One of them was quiet, which was Shamawd, and then Jonathan, which was the one that was known by everybody.
My mom will always say it, and I think my dad will get mad at this, that we get our athletic genes from her. And my brother was a freak athlete, like he was ridiculous. People would say, look at me and say, well, I've heard that I'm a freak athlete, I don't know, but people will say he was just unbelievable at anything he did. We always used to tell him he should have played football because it probably would have helped him a lot and stuff like that throughout his life, because it helps me when I'm upset and angry about things. Just cancels out everything when I touch the field.
Now, as best you can, recollect what it was like when you first heard the news of your brother's passing.
I remember it was March, I think it was the 6th.
It's a day that I will never forget.
Me and my mom were talking about, we couldn't find him. We were talking about him, and I was kind of scared. And I text messaged a friend and I said, I think something happened to my brother. I just felt it in my gut that something happened to him. Like, I don't know what this feeling is, but I've never felt like this before. I went upstairs and I saw my mom and I saw the two police officers come.
And as soon as I got to the door, two police officers came to tell me that they found John's body.
I heard my mom scream, a loud scream. And like, when you hear your parents scream the way that she did, you kind of realize, okay, you realize what the feeling was.
Just devastating, devastating, devastating. My words, I can't even put it in words how terrible the feeling is.
To sit there and see my mom, I hugged her quickly and I just took off. I ran outside and I dropped to my knees and I started crying, and I felt something pull me up and something like pull me back up and push me forward. And the first thing I did was I ran to my best friend's house, Saxon Lindsay, who also plays at Laurier, and I told his dad, and when I hugged his dad was, we were sitting there, we were crying.
It is just awful. He wasn't a child. It's just torn, broken. My dad had a nervous breakdown. My mom, she cries every day.
My brother was kidnapped by a group of men and was actually tied up. We found, this is new information now, was tied up in their apartment and beat up, then taken up to Barrie and was shot 5 times, 3 times in the head and twice to the body.
You see things on TV and you never think it's going to happen to you, and then one day it shows up at your doorstep and you wonder to yourself, are these people really, are they human?
The men that have done this have no remorse for what they have done. They're known killers in the community.
Within our Black community, a lot of times we blame the cops and we blame this and we blame that, but Our community is to blame for the things that are happening.
You see those things on TV, right? Like, to hear that someone has done this to your sibling, it's kind of like, is this reality that I'm living in today? Like,
and you look at the TV and all you can see is your own race killing one another. And people sit down and they don't say anything. You know, somebody has to stand up. Somebody has to be a voice. Somebody has to be a voice. You know, I can't bring my son back, but if I can help clean up the streets and take them off the street so they can't do it to someone else's child, then that's what I'll do.
What kind of difference have you seen in Shamawd from before to now after Jonathan's passing?
Shamawd knows that if Jonathan was alive, he would have been so proud of him. You know, he didn't get to see Shamawd go off to university and play university football.
He said he was going to be at every game, and I felt cheated out of my life because I was just like, he never got to see me succeed and really make something of myself.
But you know, I know that John is with him, and I see the strength in Shamawd, and I'm proud of him because this has made us closer. You know, every day I tell my kids I love them because you don't know if they may go off and you never see them again. And
anybody who sees this is, you have to understand that your life is way more valuable once a sibling of yours is gone. Your mother, the person who brought you into this world, needs you to be around. For you to retaliate yourself on the people who did this would just be stupidity. At the end of the day, regardless of what you think, your brother or your sister would want you to be around your parents.
That was one of the reasons why he decided to stay close to home and not go off to the States or go off to a university that would be really, really far out. Because I know he wanted to be able to come home whenever he wanted to come home.
Even though he's not in your life, you still carry him with you to this day, and your number, 17, holds a special significance for you.
Number 1 represents the day he was born. The number 7 represents the day he died, and 17, that put it all together, represents the day we buried him. My last year of high school, I used to, every time I scored a touchdown, I would always just look up to him and say that was for you, every single touchdown I scored. And I ended up scoring 17 touchdowns that year, and the house that we moved in that year, that he picked up, the house number happened to be number 17. And so, like, for me to wear that number and to be able to play with my heavy heart that I had it was difficult at first, but I felt like, you know, if you're able to go through this situation, then anything's possible. Everything else should be easy for you. I wasn't going to make this a negative part of my life, that this was going to be positive and I was going to make something of myself after that. And from that moment, it's just been sky's the limit. Probably not even sky's the limit.
Once again, Twitter has broken a story. Alan